Canadian boomers elected Mark Carney to keep the equity in their homes. Is that working out so well? No, maybe not. Ladies and gents, welcome back. This has been kind of an intergenerational push and pull, as it may be. Now, the housing market, when it comes to the housing market, the young generation is just hoping for a crash. They're actually anticipating or hoping for an economic downturn so that all of the equity gets wiped out in the housing market so that one day they may afford a home. Now, of course, the people who own homes in Canada are hoping for quite the opposite. They're banking on the equity in their home because if they lose equity, well, they'd be underwater and that would be a terrible situation for them. So there's the hopes and dreams of two generations are completely in opposition to each other. Now, what's happening in the housing market actually? So Dr. Mike Moffat says, why are people buying homes up and renting them out? Canada didn't build rental housing for decades, then brought in 2 million renters without notice. That's your reason right there, not the M2 money supply or financialization. Now, this is the increase in the number of non-permanent residents by decade Canada. This is, yeah. Well, we've been pointing this out. We've been pointing this out quite a bit. Now, John Pasalis, it points out, economist Mike Moffat often goes out of his way to downplay the critical trend in Canada's housing market, the growing share of homes being bought by investors. This is a shift. This shift is making it harder for Canadian households to own a home of their own. This has been a big thing. People buying into the housing market just to rent them out, possibly to newcomers in the country. Mike argues that an investor demand is simply a response to a boom in non-permanent residents, but that claim doesn't hold up to scrutiny. The surge in non-permanent residents is a relatively recent phenomena, with most of the growth happening in the last 4 years. Investor activity, on the other hand, has been rising steadily over 20 years. This long-term running trend has been a major factor in pushing homeownership rates down since 2011. That's not new, and it's not about immigration. It's not about immigration. Yes, population growth made housing more attractive for investors, but it wasn't the only or even the main driver, and the biggest catalyst was ultra low interest rates after 2008's financial crisis, and again during COVID. This makes a lot of sense. This is why a lot of people got into. You got to realize when low interest rates come in, it makes it unprofitable to save your money. You can't just put your money into a savings account. You'll lose it to inflation. So people are forced to invest that money. And what's the biggest investment? The commodity that people get into? Well, it's housing. This is really where it comes. Low rates pushed investors to look for stable long-term returns outside of traditional markets. Real estate fits the bill, especially in places like Canada where prices were rising steadily. This wasn't unique to Canada. In the U.S., there was no comparable boom in non-permanent residents. Wall Street firms raised billions to buy single-family homes, even in cities with plenty of housing supply. I followed Mike's work for years and respect his contributions to the housing debate, but on this point, he misses the mark. Investor demand isn't recent response to immigration. It's a structural shift decades in the making. Now, this being said, it doesn't help the immigration crisis. Let's just be honest. But we're seeing a shift. We're seeing a massive shift in this. Darshan Maharaja pointing out international students applying for refugee status. This is because the international students have been told, sorry, we're not renewing. We're going to cancel some of these programs that we've been doing because of the outreach of the populace in Canada saying this is untenable. We can't do this. So a lot of those people who came with the promise of being able to become permanent residents and citizens are now looking for an alternate approach. Now they're going for refugee status. I'm not kidding. In 2022, refugee claims were 4,880, and now in 2024, this past year, it was 20,000. 245. The number for 2025 is expecting to be even higher. Total number of pending refugee applications as on December 31st, 2024 was 272,440. The immigration system is out of control. Now, because of how they've reeled a lot of this stuff back, one of the things happening is, well, a lot of the schools are losing a lot of those tuitions. Now, of course, remember the lucrative assets that these foreign students would be. Conestoga College, which was making millions and millions and millions of dollars out of this whole thing, they're moving to a 4-day week now as international recruitment dropped by 95%. So instead of trying to come here and become, what was the largest degree that they were giving out was like business degree. So we're not going to have, hundreds of thousands of business degrees coming into our country. We're just going to have hundreds of thousands of refugees now, it looks like. But let's get back into the housing market side of things. This is what we're seeing on the ground. Ontario real estate is on the express train downwards. It doesn't matter if you're in Toronto, Ottawa, Cambridge, or Niagara. Ontario real estate is going down, and going down fast. Looking at some of these properties, $400,000 loss on the sale of this property in Ottawa, $310,000 loss in Cambridge, Ontario. We're looking at $400,000 loss in Thorold, Ontario. It's all over the place. And of course, we're reading this from Economists Online. Better Dwelling, great source for economic news, this kind of thing. Tune into them. Links is in the description down below, so go check this out. But Toronto real estate prices fall below the $1 million point. Sales are at 90s level crash level. The Greater Toronto real estate area market is still in free fall as the anticipated boom proves to be an epic bust. Toronto Regional Real Estate Board data shows the price of a typical home continued to fall in April. A typical house in the city is now under the $1 million mark as the multi-year downturn led to the highest April inventory in over 15 years. And sales fell to 90s real estate crash levels. Greater Toronto real estate price dip. City plunges below the $1 million mark. Now, oh no, it's down below $1 million. What does that mean? Well, it means a lot of people are not going to get into the building process. This is the reality of the situation. The price of all of the goods to make houses is still going up. Now the price of real estate, the retail sale of a home, is going down. So that means that investors are not going to get into building houses. They're gonna shy away from this stuff, especially in that area. But you think this is gonna stay in Toronto? No, I don't think so. I'm hearing from realtors in the Vancouver area, and I'm hearing this from the horse's mouth. I have friends in the industry, and they're telling me it is a bloodbath. It is not looking good, and realtors are freaking out. They're having meetings where they're saying like, hey, don't publicly freak out because it will scare off the clientele. This is the reality of the situation. And in this current time, well, this is the time where leadership is most important, and womp here we are. Sources tell CTV News that two rookies who will be among those promoted after former Vancouver Mayor Gregor Robinson will take over the housing file, and former Quebec Cabinet Minister Carlos Lieto, whose title has yet been confirmed. So what do we know? The former mayor of Vancouver, where the biggest real estate boom and maybe soon coming bust is coming, has just been given the cabinet position to look after housing. No kidding. Stéphane Ponoisi pointing this one out, saying literally my top pick for the housing file. Hopefully he'll make Atlantic Canada as affordable as he made Vancouver. Now, what does this mean? I'm not sure. Just yet. It's too early to tell. But is the new housing minister going to come in and try to prop up a bubble Canada-wide? Are we going to get record low interest rates? Now, I'm hearing from experts. They're saying that the interest rates that were hiked and then subsequently fell from the Bank of Canada, they take about 18 months to 2 years to kick in and actually see the effects of that. Now, what does that mean? That means that a lot of this insolvency and things like that are just around the bend. They're not behind us. No, they're just about to come. And this could get scary for people who are in the housing market. Now, as I alluded to at the beginning of the show, there's a whole young generation that are probably cheering this on. So especially after this election, it was very, very divided between the older generation, the younger generation, between people who own houses and people who don't own houses and probably will never, or looking at it, they'll never own a house. They're pitted against each other in this whole thing. One group is cheering on the economic downturn of Canada, cheering it on, hoping for it. And the other side is hoping to just stay afloat. Now, I'd love to hear where you're at in this whole thing. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think. And of course, we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.